On WSOC tonight, COVID-19 has turned our world upside down, putting our futures on hold.
All of us have been impacted in some way.
Week after week, some people working from home or remotely, apart from friends and loved ones, or trying to figure out how to pay bills if you've lost a job. Schools, sports, and graduation ceremonies have all come to a screeching halt, and students are just trying to make sense of it all.
You never really got that opportunity to be like, yeah, I love my time here, and you never really got closure.
In the middle of all of this, there are questions surrounding a drug that some suggested might help to fight the virus. With so much uncertainty, we want you to know we're here for you. Yes, we are. For more than a month now, we've all been on virtual lockdown, isolated from friends and family, and it's taken a toll on our mental health. So we're dedicating the next 30 minutes to that topic, making sure you know you're not alone and there is help for you and your loved ones. But before we dive into that, we want to get you caught up on the latest on coronavirus. First, schools in North Carolina will stay closed for the rest of the academic year. Students will continue learning remotely. North Carolina joins a list of 35 other states, including South Carolina, not returning to the classroom. A worker at a Bojangles in Lancaster tested positive for the virus. The restaurant is on North Main near Monroe Highway. We know the employee last worked there on April 22nd. They closed today for deep cleaning. And just like in North Carolina, people in South Carolina having issues applying for unemployment. They're reporting problems with the website and getting a real person on the phone. In response, the state says it's hired more customer service reps and extended call center hours. Now we go in depth on a story that's gotten a lot of attention, a drug that's caused a lot of uncertainty. It's called hydrochloroquine. In the beginning of the pandemic, it was mentioned as a possible treatment for COVID-19.
If this drug works, it will be not a game changer, because that's not a nice enough term. It will be wonderful.
But now its effects are being questioned. Just today, the FDA issued a warning saying it could have serious side effects, including heart problems. And earlier this week, a study found no benefits in taking it and more than twice as many deaths among those who did take it. So our Joe Bruno spent the day looking into why North Carolina has a stockpile of this drug that doctors say needs so much more research. Joe, what did you find out?
Well, the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services tell me they have 1.5 million tablets of hydroxychloroquine. Those tablets are reserved for nursing homes as well as hospitals. But are they effective? Leaders want to know more.
She's just an extremely wonderful person.
The loss of Pamela Mayhew is fresh in the mind of her son, Michael.
She's always been a very, loving person, a great mom. She was I was her only child, but she had lots of aunties and cousins. Everybody adored her.
Mayhew was 68 years old when she died from coronavirus earlier this month. She was a Five Oaks resident in Concord. Before she passed, she was administered the controversial anti-malaria drug hydroxychloroquine. Her son is requesting her medical records to try to figure out how much of a role, if any, it may have played in her death.
I have never heard of it, and when they said that they were going to administer it, I didn't think much of it, and it's not like they gave me a choice to say yay or nay. They just said that that's what the protocols does.
Through a records request, I learned North Carolina is making hydroxychloroquine available to long-term facilities like the one where Mayhew stayed. The Department of Health and Human Services said it received a donation of the drug, which long-term facilities can apply for. The department said this supply must be used for treatment of confirmed or suspected COVID-19 cases. Earlier today, the FDA put out guidance saying the drug has not been shown to be safe and effective for treating or preventing COVID-19, and it has sometimes caused serious heart rhythm problems. So given that guidance, I questioned the head of the DHHS today about the donation it received.
We'll continue to look at that research as we go along to see if there is an appropriate use. But you are right. The recent research that came out this week from the NIH says that there is not an appropriate setting yet that the research shows to use that kind of medication.
The pills are available if a hospital or a provider for someone in a long-term care facility requests them. Statewide and locally, health officials agree the jury is still out on their effectiveness, but it is important to mention some patients have recovered using them, including State Treasurer Dale Falwell.
I'm glad I tried it. There's a war going on inside of our lungs, the people who are in the severe situation that I was in.
Falwell says within 48 hours of taking the pill combined with Z-Pak, his oxygen levels started going up. Just as Mayhew isn't sure whether the pill hurt his mother, Falwell isn't sure whether it helped.
They said, this is what we're giving you, and that's what I took. So I had no concern about it. I was in their hands and God's hands, and that was okay with me.
So two different outcomes. Joe, do we know what kind of information about this medicine that NCDHHS is sharing with the facilities and hospitals?
The department is making sure that they know about the side effects and potential interactions that could happen when this drug is taken. It really is up to each provider of individual patients whether or not this is it's an option at all, really, for a treatment for COVID-19. It really is also important to note that with this latest FDA guidance, the Department of Health and Human Services is not recommending, but is also not recommending to use this as a treatment option at this point. Erica.
Thank you, Joe. It is a drug that lupus patients actually rely on. After the president called it a game changer, some people started stocking up on it. North Carolina's Board of Pharmacy has now put it on a list, making it harder for people to get.
It's such a confusing time to be a child, and it's a hard time to be a parent.
A confusing and hard time indeed. Students in North Carolina have now been out of school for 6 weeks, with their parents trying to help them learn at home, while the parents, some of them are also working from home. Today, the big announcement came that schools in North Carolina will remain closed for the remainder of the academic year. It's even uncertain what things will look like come the fall. All of this especially difficult for high school seniors, as our Gina Esposito shows us.
Canty never thought she'd be spending her senior year at West Charlotte High School at home.
It is draining, stressful, mentally, physically sometimes, and you're kind of thinking like, wow, we're not going to school. Where's my motivation?
Everything she and other students are feeling is normal. Every senior missed prom this year and is unsure about graduation plans. Canty never got to play that big role in her high school musical. Her goal now is to not dwell on those things.
I have a piano, a violin, a guitar, so I'm not I'm not lonely musically, but I'm talking to those to my friends that can relate to me, can also help me.
Maintaining connections is so important right now. Emma Catherine Bowers is a senior at Myers Park. Her choir teacher surprised her senior students with this sign of appreciation.
I think that's the sort of personal thing that makes you feel like, you know, I still have a connection to her and I still get to see her, and that was incredibly touching.
Canty and Bowers are both members of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Youth Council. They approach CMS leaders about doing more on social media so students know they aren't alone.
And so we're really pushing for them to increase, you know, maybe it's videos from counselors at individual schools, you know, short ones saying, hey, we miss you, we're here for you, here are resources, please reach out.
Over virtual chat, about 30 students a week are talking to licensed mental health clinician Jessica Conley. She's been helping them manage anxiety and stress.
Really trying to help them focus on what they can control and working to let go of the things that they can't.
Conley says parents play a critical role. She says they need to be aware of their own mental health and how it affects their children. Even though school is now out for the rest of the year, Conley says families need to be positive.
Whether or not you can walk across the stage for graduation, you've still accomplished a huge goal.
Even though we might not have a graduation, we are so close to finishing high school. So don't give up the push.
We're proud of all of those young people. If your child wants to talk to someone at Teen Health Connection, they can call the Mental Health Triage line. The number is 704-381-8379. And if you leave a message, they say they'll call you back within 24 hours. Nursing homes. We know they've been hit hard by the coronavirus. Residents can't see their loved ones. Still ahead, an expert's take on how to cope. And college campuses, many of them empty, graduation ceremonies canceled, and job searches halted.
There were a few tears, that's for sure.
Now college seniors are left asking what happens next. 2 students and an expert weigh in when we come back. As April comes to an end, for college seniors, this would be the time when they would be preparing to walk across the stage to graduate. But now, most of them will not get that chance. So many of them are experiencing loss and even a form of grief. Our Susanna Black explains.
All the football games we went to and all the friendships that I've made.
Every corner of UNC Charlotte's campus holds a memory for Grace Fundrick. But there's one she holds a bit closer than the rest.
When I came to tour here the first time, I was walking out of the Union right over there, and I just looked out everything, and like, I basically had a feeling like in my head, and I just said like, this could be home.
Now 4 years later, and from that very spot, she looks out again. But there's nothing. No one to see.
You never really got that opportunity to be like, yeah, I loved my time here, and like, you never really got closure.
This is the first time Fundrick has stepped foot on campus since the coronavirus brought her senior year to a screeching halt.
There'd be people coming out of this building, out of that building, walking, like people would be going everywhere.
Now those doors are locked, classes are online, and the students are all gone.
There were a few tears, that's for sure.
That sadness isn't just felt by seniors at UNCC.
I think it went from jokes to teary goodbyes in the span of maybe like 3-4 days.
Ethan Steinbacher sat down with us at his parents' home in Concord, but he should be at Davidson College, living out the final act of his academic career.
It doesn't really all feel real, but having to finish it up in a situation where I'm not hanging out with any of the people that I would have been saying goodbye to, it doesn't really feel like it's actually ending. There's no real closure to it.
Closure. It's something both seniors say they don't feel, which makes a lot of sense to therapist Melissa Moya.
It's heartbreaking. It's like experiencing grief. It's a loss.
Moya says it's not death in the traditional sense, but this loss of milestones is just as devastating. College seniors worked for years only to see their graduation ceremonies canceled, their job searches halted. Their future hangs in the balance when pressure is higher than ever.
Treat it like grief, treat it like loss. Use the same coping skills that you would for that during this time, but don't lose hope. I've told people, like, if you had a graduation party planned, if you had these things planned, do it. When it's time, do exactly what you were going to do.
Steinbacher says he's coping by remembering what he did get at Davidson. 4 seasons as an offensive lineman on the football team and a computer science degree that's fueling his hope for a job.
It's just got to find the right thing and right place, right time.
Fundrick says she already found one.
I signed the papers like even, I think it was a week or 2 after everything shut down. So like right in the thick of it. And I'm so thankful and so blessed that I still have that.
But even with her job set to start in June, Fundrick feels she can't look that far ahead. Not yet.
Anniversaries in general are meaningful, but especially the first.
Next Thursday marks 1 year since the shooting that killed 2 students. Reed Parlier and Riley Howell died that day. And it's a day all of UNCC students were supposed to be together.
We were supposed to like have another vigil, come here, and like there was supposed to be things basically to remember that. And so it was like trying to remember Riley and Reed and figuring out our own way to do it.
One idea that's come up is walking or running in their memory. A memory she says can be painful at times, but in times like these, it's offered her perspective like no other.
Yes, this may seem like the biggest moment of my life right now, but like when you zoom out on the world at this moment right now, there's so many bigger things happening, but also when I look at the course of my life, this is just going to be a tiny, tiny part of it.
We appreciate both of them sharing their stories. It really puts you in the sense of what they are going through right now. And you have to appreciate their ability to think long term. Still, All the uncertainty that we're dealing with is stressful for all of us. We're all feeling it. But how do you know if someone actually really needs help? Here's Scott Wickersham.
And I've had like 4 people reach out to me, whether it's for themselves or for a loved one, suicide.
As a trainer who helps people spot and deal with signs that someone is considering suicide, Fonda Bryant's passion for helping others has never wavered. But with COVID-19, it's been forced to evolve.
I'm training online now instead of being in a classroom. But it's also now that people are seeing that mental health is at its forefront right now, and so is suicide. We're in the peak of suicide right now. And I think because people are isolated, people are at home, that they're reaching out to find resources to help other people.
I first met Fonda last year talking about her own struggle 25 years ago with thoughts of suicide. She even pushed to get signs like these placed at the tops of parking garages for people who may be there considering suicide. Now she trains people in what's called QPR, question, asking if they're okay. Are they considering suicide? Persuade, learning how to offer hope, and refer to someone who can help.
Started telling me your son.
And since it's now all online, she's actually reaching a lot more people.
The slide on the short stick Manis. Now he gets inside and scores!
Like Nina Walker, the head athletic trainer for the UNC men's lacrosse team. She took Fonda's QPR online course because
we're usually one of the front lines, because sometimes it's hard to tell their parents, it's hard to tell their coaches, but the athletic trainer is a safe person that they can speak to.
Nina has used the training to gauge the mental health of her athletes, even when they're off the field.
You got social distancing. How do you do your job while staying away from people? It's such a hands-on job.
Absolutely. I mean, most of our job is hands-on, but we've been able to use, technologies just like everyone else. I'll check in with my student athletes, see how they're doing. I mean, this is a stressful time for everyone. And we know that there's, just a lot of grieving going on. Athletes have had their seasons cut right in the middle, or they haven't been able to go to their championships.
In the past few weeks, Fonda has trained hundreds of people and hopes to reach many more from a safe social distance on her computer. She knows each time she logs on could be a life saved.
So many people getting trained, and it makes me really happy because for each person trained, I know that they can go out here, and if someone's in crisis or suicidal, they can save that person's life.
Yes, they can. Fonda Bryant does remarkable work, and she's just one of the mental health resources listed on our WSOC TV News app. You can look under the Community tab. Now, some organizations might have different operating hours right now, but they will get back to you. We've heard from so many of you who might have lost jobs. That is a stress that can lead to other problems. We have 2 warning signs to watch out for next.
Turned out to be a beautiful kickoff to the weekend. It did have a fair amount of clouds. They are already gone, but we are already tracking the next storm that's going to be pushing our way as we head into tomorrow evening. Now, if you have plans to be outside with the kids early on, we should be A-OK. It's late in the afternoon. We'll start to see the risk of showers, and then eventually into the evening, the rumble of thunder as well, starting in the mountains and then working into the metro. It shouldn't be severe. It'll be in and out in a hurry Saturday night. And a look at our 7-day forecast. It's back to sunshine as we head through the day on Sunday, and that trend continues into the early part of next week with temperatures where they should be in the mid to upper 70s.
It's something many people might be able to relate to right now: job loss. It's one of the most stressful things that anyone can experience. If it happens to you, it's important to keep tabs on your mental health. Studies show that the longer the unemployment, the higher the risk for depression. 2 warning signs for depression: a loss of interest in activities that you used to enjoy, and a general low mood that persists.
If they've lost their job or if they've been furloughed, they may be grieving. There's a mourning process anytime we lose our sense of financial stability, but also when we lose our job, because that can be tied to our sense of purpose and our identity.
Mental Health America of Central Carolinas offers a number of mental health screening tools that you can take confidentially online and for free. Go to mhascreening.org. If you have a loved one in a nursing home right now, I'm sure you are worried. You can't see them in person, sometimes only through the window or maybe on FaceTime. Our Glenn Counts looks at that struggle and some ways to handle it.
There's nothing you can do. I mean, absolutely nothing that could I comprehend to you how I felt about not being able to hold her hand and tell that I love her.
Thousands of families across our state share in Tracy Smith's anguish. His 84-year-old mother, Elizabeth, is in a nursing facility, and these days, no one is allowed in or out of nursing facilities.
It took a toll on me, mentally and physically.
We have to understand that we are just at the beginning.
Dr. Russell Hancock is a psychotherapist with Atrium Health. He says these are stressful times for families with loved ones in nursing homes, and it's important for them to remember you can only control so much.
I think the best way for people to stay as level-headed, as even keel as they can, is to be able to understand what you actually have control over.
Hancock also says it can be difficult for seniors to be cooped up 24/7.
It was nice to get fresh air. It was nice of what they did for us.
Which is why it was refreshing to see AAA throwing a parade for the patients at White Oak of Charlotte. For the first time in weeks, they got fresh air and sunshine.
It's vital not only for the person who's receiving it, but also for the person that is providing the message and the communication.
Well, Dr. Hancock says that communication does a world of good for residents and their families. He says it's easy to fall prey to anxiety, but what you need to do is pace yourself. Don't think that the world's going to go back to normal overnight. Realize it's going to require time, it's going to require patience, and if you approach it from that standpoint, he says you will feel better. Erica?
Yeah, show ourselves some compassion to help us get through this. Thank you, Glenn.
The world has changed because we're never getting used to a new normal.
We are all feeling some level of anxiety right now. We've got some proven ways to cope next. One of the biggest stressors for so many people right now is that there's so much happening that we cannot control. Experts say don't be too hard on yourself if you're not at peak performance. One psychotherapist here in Charlotte says stay connected to your loved ones and focus on what you can control.
Going to bed on time, still eating on time, creating structure even within the house. So understanding that, I know it's a lot of kids and stuff you may be dealing with. If you can possibly get them on a schedule, then your work is on the schedule and all those things. And then you still have family time in the evening and all that. So that can actually help because those are the things that you can actually control.
You heard therapist Renshawn Miller talking about maintaining a schedule. Doctors say if you're having trouble sleeping right now, the most important thing you can do is keep a sleep schedule. Go to bed and get up at the same time each day. Try to get outside. Daily activity helps with sleep, and so does exposure to natural light. And if you're working from home, don't work in your bed. Reserve it for sleeping. We devoted the past half hour to mental health, so I want to ask you to grab your phone, go to our WSOC Facebook page and share this, a graphic we put together with local, state, and national mental health resources. Share it because it could help someone this weekend. This is a difficult time for all of us, but it will be easier if we help each other and if we get help when we need it. Thanks for watching WSOC tonight. Have a good night, a great weekend, and we'll see you again soon.